In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I make my dome mini roses. So these are my templates that I use. I use 2 of the large, 2 of the medium, and then 2 of the small. And then I have an underleaf pattern that goes underneath the rose. And then these are the leaves that go on the stem. I typically have at least 2 to 3 sets of petals cut out beforehand, but because we're doing 4 here, I think I was short on 3 of the smaller ones, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm tracing them out using my template, and then I'm going to be cutting them out. Now moving on to cutting the stems, I'm going to need 4 pieces of 3/16 round bar cut to 7 inches. These are the domes that I use for my projects. I get them from Hobby Lobby and they come in 3 different sizes, and for my mini version I use the medium. You can see right there I made a center point on the base, which I'm going to now use a 3/16 drill bit, which is the same size as our round bar. We're going to drill that out, and then we are going to follow that with a 3/4 inch countersink so that when I put it through the rose, I can use a washer and a nut to completely secure it so that it doesn't move on me and bump into the glass dome. So typically what I would do with my bases is I would remove that bottom sticker before I even drill it, but this time we are doing custom wood burnt names into these bases, and I like the look of how the wood burn is without the stain on there, because if you do leave the stain on there, it has this weird burn ring around it and it just looks odd to me. So this is just my preference on how I like to do it. So I'm removing that bottom sticker and even those little rubber feet on there. But I will add a stain that looks very, very similar to it, because you can see I did not get everything. I use a Dremel to put in the leaf pattern, and these are the ones that go directly underneath the rose itself. And now I am using my drill press to drill the 3/16 hole in every single one of the petals that I had cut out. Now I'm using a die to put about a 1/2 inch of threads down my 3/16 round bar. Then I will take a nut, put that all the way at the base of those threads, weld that into place, and then take all of my petals and put it on top of there and add yet another nut, tighten it as tight as possible without stripping it, and then weld that nut into place as well. When doing these mini roses, it is so important that I have these petals as tight as possible so they do not move on me, because these are so hard to form. I have to use 2 needle nose pliers to form these, whereas when I form my other ones, I can just use 1 set of pliers and my hands, which means making these is so much more difficult than my other ones, which raises the importance of keeping these petals tight while forming. So this is the leaf that attaches to the stem, so I need to draw out 8, 2 for each one. My signature to each piece is a screw representing a thorn, so I chop off the heads to each one. So on my table here I have 2 markings, and that represents my base. And inside those 2 lines that come up, that is where the glass dome will sit. So I have to make sure that my rose is not only perfect height and fits underneath the glass dome, I also have to make sure that my leaves are angled at the right way and they also fit where they're not touching the glass dome as well. So here I'm using the Dremel again to put in the pattern on the leaves. Using my hammer and my vise here along the veins of the leaf to give it some dimension, and I'm doing that with all 8 of those. So we have the rose formed out, the leaves prepped, and the thorn ready to go. But before we weld those on, we need to prep for this base. So I'm going to be marking about 3/8 back on the stem here, because our base is about a 1/2 inch thick, and I don't want the threads to be showing through it. So after we get our threads on, I'm going to be putting a welded little blob at the top of my mark, because you'll see here the base is able to slide up even after I put a nut and washer on it. So to lock the rows in place, I'm going to be putting that welded blob right there. Now it's time for final welding of the leaves and the thorn to the stem. So we are tracking from right to left, 1 through 4. So right now I'm doing number 1, which is Ashley's, and hers is going to be a black glitter with rainbow leaves. Number 2 is Amanda with a purple glitter. Number 3 is Alexis with a blue glitter. And finally, number 4 is Haley with a red glitter. These are the shades of paint that I chose, starting from the left going 1 to 4, and here they are painted up. These are the colors that I chose to do the rainbow look on the leaves. I was so enthralled with the design and getting to the next step that I totally forgot to record. So the red part is missing on this one and how I designed it, but I thought that the best look was to do an arch to make it look like a complete rainbow, and it's just hitting the leaves and the stem. So I'm just stacking each color on the inside of the last one until the rainbow is complete. I used my Cricut machine to design and cut out these names on some temporary vinyl. Then I use a pencil to trace it on, remove the vinyl, and then finally use my wood burner to burn the names in. This is the color of stain that I use to not only highlight the wood burning on the base, but also get back and try to match it as close as to the original as possible. So after the stain has had time to dry on the base, now we are going to attach it by putting our washer and our nut over top of it and tightening it up. After doing a test fit with the dome, it is leaning to the left, so I need to adjust it, tighten it back up, do another test fit, and then once we are happy with it, we are going to be using hot glue to secure it fully in place. And while we are waiting for that hot glue to fully harden up, we're going to be putting on 3 of those little rubber feet to replace the ones that we took off earlier. I went ahead and pre-cut up my mini petals. They were the size of the one on top, but because we're doing mini versions, I felt that it would be better underneath the dome looking when they were smaller like that. Now we're going to check the bottom to see if it's fully hardened up, and it has. So then we are going to throw on our Welder Woman branded sticker to not only make it look more aesthetically pleasing, but also to always be promoting yourself. And our final step is to wrap these lights around the rows. And here is our final look of all 4 complete. Oh my god. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, please hit that like and subscribe button. And also check out my website, welderwoman.com, and also all of my social medias at The Welder Woman.